Aikman called it out. He called it out. 4th and 7, inside the red zone, 7 minutes to go. Cowboys had just made it a one-touchdown game again. I mean, the Patriots had just made it a one-touchdown game again to make it 13-6. Dallas decides with 7 minutes to go in the red zone, right around the 10-yard line, to kick a field goal to make it a 4-point game again. Fine, meaning a touchdown would win it. The only problem is, again, New England doesn't give up touchdowns. They don't. 9 in the first 10 games, and 4 of them came in one game alone against the Ravens. The rest of the league in 9 games had scored 5 touchdowns on this team. The rest of the league. You're in the red zone. This is as close as you may get. And I know it's 4th and 7. You don't get it, then your defense plays as well as it possibly could, and you play field position. You got one more shot, yes, to tie it, but maybe then you go for 2 and you win it. At least you go down with figurative guns blazing, and you can look your fan base and your owner in the face and say, man, I went out aggressively. In the same way Doug Peterson could have looked his fan base and his ownership in the face in the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. Yeah, Philly special didn't work out. Wasn't so special, but we tried it. Kicking field goals in New England where they hadn't lost in 19 straight, now 20, not good enough. And I love Jason Garrett. I want him to succeed. As do many people in the media, because he is such a freaking good guy. But the minute he sent Brett Maher on the field, I'm like, oh, my goodness. Sure enough, they didn't get that close again. You could have, I mean, honestly, it's like a horror movie. You're watching it through the fingers of your hand, and you're like, the calls are coming from within the house. Don't you see the monster in the mask behind you? Sure enough, the Cowboys did get a shot back. They did have a chance to drive down the field. The officiating absolutely crippled him. I mean, a third down make gets wiped out due to a tripping penalty that was dreadful. But you do have to play better than the ref's ref. And even worse for Jason Garrett, the special teams did him in. A blocked punt led to the only touchdown of the game. You can't even call it a short field. It was a quarter of a field, less than a quarter of a field, that Brady just threw one to N'Keal Harry, one of the only plays that his rookie wide receiver made on the day. Touchdown. That was one difference in the game. And then the drive in which they did have a field goal attempt that they made, instead of going for it on a touchdown, it was a very long field that they actually drove it on, which is another reason why you've done it once. You've driven the field on New England. You're not likely to do this again. So you got to go for it when you've got the shot. It started with poor field position because Tony Pollard is out there returning kicks, and the ball just was kicked short by Belichick. He's playing special teams games with you. Pollard wasn't ready for it. Ball hit the ground, and he was lucky to recover it. It was almost a total, complete disaster. All of this on top of Tavon Austin with 17 seconds to go in a home Sunday night loss 2 weeks ago to Minnesota, calls for a fair catch, even though he had 15 yards in front of him. Might have cost him 5 seconds, but those 15 yards for 5 seconds could have at least given Dallas a better shot to win than their eventual Hail Mary from the Minnesota 45. And after the game, Garrett said there wasn't enough good communication between his special team staff and Tavon Austin before all that. So you've got, again, special teams failures from 2 weeks ago and in this game, leading to Jerry Jones to be asked afterwards whether it was coaching that did him in.
I think you're going to get out coached when you come to during this era, when you come into New England. I do. I think you are. And I give him his not due there, but it's just what you're dealing with. But my point is, don't get yourself in a spot to where you have to come up here and beat him and beat them. and beat them on a day like today.
The special teams issue, do you think that's more of an execution thing or a coaching thing? I know you talked about Jason's, but what about the special teams coaching?
To me, special teams is 100% coaching. It's 100% coaching. How, strategy, it's having players ready. They use the makeup of the roster. We exclude certain players from it because they're too important in the defense and offensive phase of it. But other than that, special teams. And that's why today give Belichick and give them credit. They did a great job on special teams, and that was really probably the determining difference. But special teams is nothing but coaching.
Oh, wow. I mean, that just absolutely bullseyes the target that fans have been saying about Garrett for years and have been waiting to hear Jerry Jones say. 100% coaching, not 99%, by the way. Wow. That's why I'm saying at least it would have served Dallas to just get blown out. Or it would have served them to actually win the game. Now, people are interpreting that as to say Jerry Jones is going to bounce Garrett midseason. You know, this is a big game. Thanksgiving, 3 days from now, Buffalo's coming in. They are no slouch, folks. I know they're just Buffalo and it's just Josh Allen. Guess what? They have a better record than the Cowboys by 2 wins. 2. Their defense is stout. They got playmakers all over the lot, too. By the way, and here comes the rare instance of a Cole Beasley revenge game. That'll be a nice little sideline aspect of this. I'm serious. The Bills could come in and beat this team, which would make for a very long extra week for that Week 14 Thursday nighter in Chicago. I don't think they're going to bounce. I don't think he's going to fire this guy midseason. I don't. Especially since 6-6, even if they do lose on Thanksgiving, that'd be very difficult to take. There's 4 more games to go. The Eagles aren't that good. And all you got to do is just win in Week 16 and take care of that business. And the rest of their schedule is soft. The last thing they're going to do is just upset the entire apple cart. By they, meaning Jerry and his family. Upset the entire apple cart. I was there the night that they played the Saints. It was 10 years ago. 10 years ago in 2009. That's when it was. When the Saints were undefeated, it was a Saturday night game. We were there for the NFL Network, and Jerry Jones says he was nervous as a cat because he didn't want to fire Wade Phillips. Didn't want to fire him. Liked him a lot. Didn't want to upset everything. He thought everything was in place, including Wade. And they beat the Saints that night. And the Saints, by the way, didn't win a game the rest of the year, went on to win the Super Bowl anyway. In Miami, where the Saints could be back. And I know that there's tons of other stuff in Week 12, but we are a little Cowboys-centric right here because they're Dallas. I didn't expect them to be 6-5, and Jerry Jones just said something about his coach that I have not heard. Man, picked the wrong week to face Bill Belichick in the wrong weather in the wrong spot in Gillette.
For more of The Rich Eisen Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV for free on BR Live or download the Rich Eisen Show app.